What's up guys, Nathan here, and today I want to talk about why your bluffs at the poker table always seem to get called. I'm going to walk you through an example step by step to show you what not to do when you're bluffing and what to do when you're bluffing to make sure that you get a higher success rate with your bluffs. Let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so first things first with a bluff, there's no way to make a bluff get through 100% of the time, and when I say get through, I mean make them fold. But we can definitely get the odds in our favor if we understand the mechanics of how a successful bluff works. And the number one thing that I've seen, especially with my students over the years, of why their bluffs continue to get called too much is because their story doesn't add up. Guys, the real key to making a successful bluff in poker is telling believable stories. And the hand that we're going to talk about in a sec here is going to illustrate this all better for you. So what do I really mean by telling believable stories? It's actually really simple. It's two things. The hand that you're representing must align with the board, the flop, turn, and river. If they don't add up, if the hand that you're representing does not connect with the board, the other player that you're trying to bluff is going to run through the gears in their mind and say, this guy's story doesn't make any sense, I'm going to call him down. But if the flop, turn, and river do align with the hand that you're representing, then you're going to have a much higher success rate with your bluffs. So let's jump into the hand here. You have ace-9 offsuit, ace of hearts, 9 of diamonds on the button, and you decide to raise it up. Standard blind steal situation. I don't really think I need to explain that in any more depth there. And a tag tight and aggressive player calls us in the big blinds. So common situation you guys have no doubt found yourself in many times. Tight and aggressive player. This is one of these regular, decent thinking opponents that we're going to face again and again in today's low and mid stakes games. You know, they're playing a bunch of reasonable hands. They're probably going to be calling with a lot of broadways, some decent aces, a lot of suited connectors, speculative hands like that, some suited aces, and a lot of pocket pairs. We will always assume in a situation like this that if they had a premium hand, meaning pocket aces, kings, queens, jacks, or ace king, they're probably going to repop us here. So when they just flat call us here, we're not expecting those hands to be in their range. So the flop comes down with a queen 6 for a rainbow, meaning 3 different suits. There's a spade, heart, and a diamond. What should you do in this situation? Well, this is a good flop to c-bet, guys. And you know, because a flop of queen 6 4 is really unlikely to hit their range. I mean, we just talked about the hands they're going to have. They will have some Broadway hands. There's one Broadway card on this board with a queen, but other than that, there's not really any draws. There's no flush draws. There's not really too many straight draws. I mean, a 7-5 is really the only open-ended straight draw on this board. So this is one of these sort of dry, nondescript, uncoordinated flops that I'm really just going to be c-betting. And when I say c-betting, I mean making continuation bet the vast majority of the time. And if you want to know the exact flops that I'm going to be betting, I talk about that at length in my free poker cheat sheet, which will be the top link in the description below. But in a nutshell, it's most of them. It's definitely a board like this. But in this situation, we're going to assume that the tag calls. So let's go see the turn. Turn comes with a jack of spades. So the tag checks to us again, and we're going to decide to keep our foot on the gas pedal here and continue bluffing. Why? The reason why is because this is another Broadway card. If this player was therefore, you know, hanging on with some sort of hand like, you know, pocket 10s, pocket 9s, pocket 8s, maybe a hand like ace 6. We talked about how this player will have some suited aces in their range. So an ace 6 of clubs or something, for example, ace 4 of clubs. If we bet here again, this is going to apply a lot of pressure on those hands and all of those pocket pairs as well. And even if this player is hanging on with a queen, you know, maybe they got queen 9 or queen 10, if we bet here again, they're definitely feeling the pressures. And, you know, we don't have anything, so probably the only way for us to win this hand is to apply a lot of pressure. We're going to assume the tag calls again, so let's go see the river. So the river comes down with the king of diamonds, which is the perfect river bluffing card, and we're going to talk about that right now. So spoiler alert, yes, you should empty the clip here. Assuming that the tag player checks to us, I would recommend making a triple barrel bluff on this card. Now, why? Well, the reason is, guys, is because this is yet another Broadway card that is going to put maximum pressure on all of those lower pairs that we just talked about, those middling pocket pairs, those weak queens, those hands like ace 6, ace 4. And really what we're doing here when we make a triple barrel bluff, and what I mean by that is, you know, we've bet on every single street, flop, turn, and river, and of course we raise pre-flop as well, is we're basically putting the maximum pressure on this opponent to show show up with a big hand. He really can't make a call here with queen 9 all the way, right? So the other crucial fact here is that this board absolutely nails a ton of the hands that this player is putting us on. For example, ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10's got the straight on this board, king queen's got 2 pair, king jack has got 2 pair, and queen jack has got 2 pair as well. So really, in a nutshell here, guys, is what we're doing here is we're telling believable stories. The hands that we expect our opponent to put us on pre-flop connect heavily with this board, and that's why this is a good board to apply the maximum pressure against this kind of player to go for the big bluff. Now, conversely, if the turn, for example, was the 3 of hearts and the river was the 2 of diamonds, I would not be betting in this situation here. I hope you guys can see the difference there, because we don't have hands with a 3 and a 2 in our range, and so a hand like queen 9 is just going to happily call us down the whole way, or a hand like ace 6 or pocket 7s or pocket 8s and so on. It's going to be much easier for those hands to make the big call. So guys, the bottom line is that when you are bluffing, don't just make random bluffs for something to do. This is really the biggest reason why people get their bluffs called too much, is because they're not thinking about why they're bluffing. You have to understand what your opponent puts you on, and then look at the board run out and ask yourself, does that connect with the hand that my opponent is putting me on? If it does, then you should probably run a big bluff. If it doesn't, then you should probably lay off. And lastly, I want to mention that player type, of course, is massively important. Talk about this in massive detail in my brand new Elite Poker Training University, 17 plus hours of advanced training showing you step by step hundreds of example hands, how to bluff versus all 5 major player types. I'll have links for you to enroll right now in the description below, but as I mentioned in many videos in the course there, we need to understand the player type, and specifically if you're playing online poker, just use the stat went to showdown percentage. If you're using a HUD, I recommend Poker Tracker. I'll have links for that in the description below as well. And you want to bluff the players that have a went to showdown below 25. If it's above 25, that indicates a calling station. Those are not the kind of players you want to be bluffing, even if you get a good board run out like this. And finally, if you're not using a HUD, if you're playing live poker, you're playing online at a site that does not allow HUDs, you simply need to use your observational skills. I'll just say quickly, most recreational players, you don't want to be bluffing them no matter what the board run out is, because they're calling stations. They're just going to call you down. Your bluffs are not going to work. So you really want to focus on those tighter regulars. You want to look for people that are risk averse, that don't like to make the big call, and specifically the players that when they turn their hand over on the river, for example, it's often at least top pair with a good kicker, something like that. Those weak, tight players are the ones you want to bluff. So be aware of those players in your games and target them for your bluffs. And I think you're going to have a lot more success. Let me know in the comments below how you bluff at the poker table. And if you found any of the tips in this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe. And once again, you can grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. It's been Nathan Williams with blackgreen79.com.